Hello everybody, and welcome back to another product review. We're going to be talking about Shadowrun today, specifically the 6th world. A lot of people, when they look at Shadowrun, they start to think of Cyberpunk, but I need you to get that out of your head because Shadowrun is so much better. They do so many more things with magic and technology integrated, and this is the type of game that I was looking for. But in the game Shadowrun, you're a Shadow Runner. You're not necessarily a leader of corporation or anything like that. You're on the outskirts of society, trying to take down the evil corporations that rule the world. But let's slow down for a second. How did they come to power? The current year you're going to be playing at in the 6th world is 2070. But the awakening happened at the turn of the 20th century. This is when magic emerged onto the land, changing humans almost instantly into other kinds of races like dwarves and trolls. And gigantic mythical creatures started to reappear like dragons. Magic being thrust upon a society instantaneously is going to turn it upside down. And what exactly is going to fill that power vacuum that the governments are just unable to balance between? Those dastardly corporations that are always there. Which brings us to today's day and age, 2070, where there are now 10 corporations that rule the world. These are essentially the 10 governments that rule. Things like As Technology and Renraku Computer Systems. And since I've already got this thing in my hand, let's start checking out what's actually in the box for the Shadowrun game. You've got the quick start guide that's going to be able to guide you through any of the rules that are a little bit different than typical TTRPGs. Because if you were going to start playing this game, now that you have a little bit of the backstory, it's run with D6s. And I actually really love the look of these D6s. I'm not sure if you can get a good look at it, but I might even try to white box it. But there's a skull for a 1 and a snake for a 6. And most of your skill checks are done by rolling 3d6. And if you're over a 5 or a 6, you usually succeed. That'll often be referred to as your dice pool, but that comes up a bit more later. You're also going to get a whole bunch of different cards within here. You've got NPCs, different types of abilities and actions that your character would be able to do, along with a whole plethora of items. So that way, if you did have somebody find a motorcycle or just like a way to heal themselves, you could just hand this out and they wouldn't have to worry about inventory management, especially just for a beginner box one-shot. One thing I will say about these cards though, there's not a bit of wasted space. They didn't necessarily give me initiative cards or anything that's a waste. They could use the back a little bit better though, but I can't necessarily fault them for that because they got such nice designs in their dystopian future. You can't forget about the obligatory advertisement page. This one's going to tell you really just the basics of the setting and how you can get into the game. But if you want to expand on your knowledge from the starter set, they do have a core rules book you should check out too. Moving our way through the box, they give you a big map. I love how big this map is. This really helps to make a setting in your table, I swear. You're gonna love that one, and it's even got a diagram for like the rooms and how they're laid out. It also does that here as well. You have a map of the city. This here in the corner is a zoomed out version of the map of the city. Even more zoomed out country style maps. And before I put this gigantic thing away, I want to say it's even got more than 100 locations charted on the maps. So if you did want to use this for more than just a one-shot, there's endless exploration here. After that, you got to check out the quick start guide. It tells you all of the basics of how you actually get started, use the mechanics of how magic, the matrix, the astral plane, and other things, how that work. We'll get into those in just a minute. But I gotta say, the art in these books is fantastic. I'm a real fan of this type of dystopian art fused with traditional fantasy. I love that. And of course, we have the adventure booklet, the Battle Royale Adventure. And I know a couple of you guys probably gasped at that, like, wait a minute, is this PvP? No. This is more or less referring to the corporations in mind. The Big Ten are in a endless battle royale, you might say, and you gotta decide who you're helping or who you're taking down. This is, of course, just a starter set. Don't expect to rule the world after this, though. But when it comes to the characters, I tell ya, these character sheets are actually the most detailed things I have ever seen. I can't stress this enough. There is actually an entire book dedicated to how you run your character, showing you how each and every single stat and mechanic works, giving you its character profile and even examples of you using the character. 3, in fact. Not to mention on the back several very quick reference tables, so that way if you wanted to do something in combat, the Matrix, or check how to use your Fate, or Edge in this case, it's all right here, and I love this so much. This is 10 out of 10 character sheet creation for beginners. There's no way that someone could top introducing somebody to a game by just handing them this. What's in the box is really exciting, and how things like skill, ability checks, and combat works is very intuitive. I swear you're gonna get it in the first couple of dice throws. But the basics of this game are pretty easy to grasp, so let's talk about something that's unique, like the astral plane, and how there's different spiritual members of your party that can traverse it. So if you're familiar with the astral plane with traditional fantasy, it's essentially where the ghosts go when they die. Or it's an overlay, a ghostly overlay over the entire world. And the two worlds can't necessarily interact with each other unless there's some special circumstances. That being those who can astrally perceive things like astral perception. There will be a mark left that some of your characters will be able to perceive by spirits or other people who are in the astral plane. Of course, the astral projection, and when you do, there's a serious consequence. There's the silver cord that connects you to your astral projection. Should that be severed by an outside force or just staying too long in the astral plane, you'll be lost forever, essentially dead. But that's not to say that there isn't a such thing as astral combat. Dual-natured beings such as some of your characters, or different spirits, elementals, or gnolls that would be able to exist in the physical and astral plane. When you do astral combat, it's a wisdom challenge, so you're gonna be going head-to-head, literally. The time limit that you're allowed in the astral plane is usually determined by how good of a magic user you are, linked to your magic rating. And on the exact opposite side, there's your technomancers, somebody who's able to jump into the Matrix and start messing up things from the inside. You're not going for a person, you're going for a company. And if that sounds like you, you're a Decker. A Decker is able to use his cybernetics to hack into the Matrix. There are intrusive countermeasures used to stop Deckers, and those are the things that you're best at subverting. The Matrix, or Internet, is divided into several grids owned by the Big Ten. If you're in a specific grid, it may not be the easiest thing to go over to another without some checks involved. But all in all, everybody, this seems like a super interesting game. I cannot wait to get this started, maybe even once a week around here. But if you did want some more resources for Shadowrun, they have an entire plethora of different supplements that you could use for this. Things like the Street Grimoire, that gives an extra highlight to magic. Run and gun for different weapons for those people who want to be down and dirty in the physical plane fighting. And of course, the data trails for those who are going to jump straight in the Matrix. It'll give you a couple extra options to play with. But if those don't tickle your fancy, there's definitely a few different modules that you can find online. I may even link DriveThruRPG down here just so it's easier. But for me, that's going to be it, everybody. If you liked that one, make sure to like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.